Convenience has its consequences. Staying in the old town in Dubrovnik is all well and good, but its narrow streets mean that your neighbours will be very close by. This is the sound of the bar right outside my window, and it was open till about 1 o'clock this morning. Welcome to Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. In this season, we're exploring Dubrovnik. In the last episode, we introduced you to the old town and got acquainted with its main sites. But today, it's time to explore a little bit further. Join us on the journey. It's 9:05 in the morning. And already the crowds are gathering along the Straden, characterised by flags and paddles, so that you don't lose your tour group. There's a group of about 25 Japanese tourists over this side, whilst down here is a bunch of people who've just got off the cruise ship that docked last night. It's really busy, really early, and it's a massive contrast from what it's like in the evening. When the sun goes down, the old town transforms into a completely different place. There is plenty of food and plenty of drink of all descriptions. And while it's still quite busy, most of those pesky tourists have got back onto the cruise ships now. So you're dealing with maybe thousands rather than tens or hundreds of thousands of people at this time of the day. You might well be tempted by one of the many restaurants along the Straden, and either side there are alleyways leading upstairs to the ramparts of the city, and here you'll find a great selection of bars and eateries. And in true Travelcaster tradition, I sampled some authentic entertainment last night at the Gaff. It's an Irish pub. Yes, which of those Irish classics did you recognise from that selection? Absolutely none. It is what it is, though. The Gaff, incidentally, is where I met some rather interesting musicians on my last visit. 4 blokes with big suitcases walked in really late at night, and I asked them who they were. They had vaguely American accents, and they told me that they were the NATO Jazz Ensemble. Well, of course they were. Not only did they know their notes, they could certainly drink for their money too. So to try and get away from the crowds, I've decided to take to the water today, to the island of Lokrum. Now, the boats from the harbour here go every half an hour through the day. Even in the low season, you can get a boat back from Lokrum up till about 5 p.m. A round trip is going to cost €27. Bear in mind, when you get to the harbour, there are loads of different stalls selling trips and tickets for different boats. The Lokrum tickets are inside this building, behind the green door. Now, the journey from Dubrovnik over to Lokrum is going to take you about 15 minutes. Once you get here, there are clearly signposted paths to all the main sites, including perhaps the most spectacular, this place in here. It's the remains of the Benedictine monastery. And at the moment, there's an exhibition about bats in the ruins, and just beyond the ruins, this absolutely lovely, tranquil botanical garden which has a small tour group in it at the moment. Normally it'd be peaceful, but it's visually spectacular, really stunning. And the monastery itself provides a handy shade from the heat of the day. As soon as you arrive on Lokrum, you're met by an air of tranquility. Well, you would be if it wasn't for the hundreds of tourists, but there are plenty of pathways which you can stroll along, get off the beaten track a little bit, and see these. Well, you can't see them, but I can. Peacocks, native to this island, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them. They are the dominant species on Lokrum. Spectacular sights, lots of opportunities for selfies. You're listening to Travelcaster, today coming to you from Dubrovnik in Croatia and the island of Lokrum. To find out how to get here and what to do when you arrive, check out travelcaster.blog. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening. Now, since we're in a church or a monastery, I have a confession. I've never seen Game of Thrones. But this is why most of the people are here, because inside the monastery there is an entire exhibition dedicated to the famous series. And right at the end, there's a replica Iron Throne. And forget the peacocks and forget the botanical gardens, because there are loads of people queuing up here just to have a selfie in the throne. Each to their throne, own. History, as you would expect, is all around. Here on Lokrum, the Archduke Maximilian of the House of Habsburg, the Austrian imperial dynasty, was closely connected with this place, says the information board, because in 1859 May, the warship Triton sunk near the island. He came to investigate. His wife liked it so much, they bought the island and built residences here. Who needs Made in Chelsea when you've got stories like that? Now, as well as being full of history, Lokrum's a great place if you're with a family. There are plenty of them on the island today. There's a children's playground, there are cafes and restaurants, there are people having a sneezing fit over there, and there's a football field. Although there's no play possible today. Peacocks on the pitch, obviously. Yes, the boats were full. Yes, there were crowds when we landed, but Lokrum's just about big enough to find a place of your own. And it's small enough to walk its entire length, more or less, in a short space of time. And right here, overlooking a rocky beach, I'm just about alone. It's absolutely lovely. If you can hear the squeaking in the background, that's the children's playground just over the hedge. Now, in the last episode, you might remember we were spotting the daredevil antics of people at Buza Beach, jumping off high cliffs into the sea below. Well, here at Lokrum, you can do something a little bit safer. There's a great little lagoon at the end of the island called the Dead Sea. It's not full of salt like the real Dead Sea, it's nothing like that, but it's a safe place to have a swim, and there are plenty of people down below doing just that. Time now for a Travelcaster tip on booking day trips. There are plenty of places online where you can see these things in advance, and you might well be tempted by the convenience of simply having a few clicks, paying a price and being booked on the journey. My advice though is always to wait until you get to your destination and then decide. Unless the trip itself is incredibly popular and sold out months in advance, you're likely to get the best price locally. Take for instance the Lokrum trip that we've been on today. €27 is the price. That also gets you access to the island itself, which is a world-renowned nature reserve. But online, I saw offers of up to €45 for exactly the same trip. So, wait till you get here, book locally, and if possible, book with the tour operator direct. Unless the tour is particularly spectacular and booked out months in advance, you'll often get tickets on the day. So a note now on eating and drinking. Prices in the old town are, as we've mentioned, pricey, and you may find cheaper options if you step beyond the city walls. If you are dining in town, a main course is going to come in at anywhere between 25 and 35 euro. A local beer in one of the main touristy bars is going to cost you around €7.50. Now, as well as the local beers, there are plenty of places to explore and sample craft beers. The Glam Beer Therapy Bar up one of the side streets is one of my favourites. It's got hundreds and hundreds of bottles and cans from all over the world. And really, when it comes to value for money and strengths of beer and enjoying it rather than just quaffing it, it's perhaps a better option to enjoy of an evening. So after a busy day exploring Lokrum Island and a successful evening quaffing and eating, that's going to wrap it up from this edition of the podcast. Don't forget to find out how to get here and what to do when you do arrive. Check out travelcaster.blog. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening, and join us again soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.